So, all right, now we are live.
We are live.
Hello,
Hello, hello.
there.
Happy hour of code. I
Are
feel
we
happy.
live? Yeah, it's very happy. Made sure to have the overlay up on it too. So there's the overlay that says the happy hour code.
Right? That's what we accomplished last time, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. We were working on. Yeah, last time was a little rough. Uh, yeah,
I'm sure it'll be rough again. Let's get it going.
yeah. So just as a recap, like I was trying to I was really trying to get the canvas operations happening because I think it would be cool to be able to actually do some of the animations and stuff like that when we have text responses and stuff like that. Basically, doing what all these different services do on Twitch and whatnot, but having it do it in the JavaScript space, or have it do it for ourselves, right? So that we can control it a little bit more. Um, Ideally, hoping to be able to put it on. Uh, put it on put it into the bot game or the potato chip miner. Sorry, I knew I wanted to do something with it. Part of the reason I was
I,
doing
wa-
both
I
at the
wanted to
same.
help you, but I wasn't sure where you were going. So,
Yeah, right. So here's, like, you could see I've actually got like a couple of different animations going, and I did a test font, like a test text. So just to kind of show this is so what I was working on was trying to get it so that I could do graphics, animations, and some font, right? Some text on the page.
I
Uh,
like it.
right? So I was. Let me close all this stuff here. So I want that. All right, let me close all non-pinned because I've actually was working on this on my other computer, so I had to open up the files. So what I have done is right now I just have a single main canvas page. Um, let me collapse that for a moment. So basically what I've done is this main canvas is the entry point into the application. Let me start at the very beginning, right? So I set up a view that has just basically our canvas on there, and it's going to have the list of JavaScript files. Doing this right now all in JavaScript versus trying to do it in with TypeScript. Additionally, also not doing anything where using any loaders and stuff like that. Right now, it's just individual files, and we're going to load them up manually by doing the script tags.
Hey, John, it may be beneficial to show the Solution Explorer while you do this explanation so you can see the files.
Yeah, let me collapse that. We don't need that. Right. So, yeah. So these. Basically, I was just going by the fact that what I wanted to do is make it so we're manually loading these files. Versus going through a loader process, and that ends up putting a bunch of stuff in the background that's hard to see. We can always go back and add in something for that if we would like to make those changes to the system.
Okay.
So I was like, that's okay for now.
So we're doing it the old-fashioned way for now.
Yeah, for now, because I don't know how many files we're gonna actually have and how complicated this is all gonna get really. So yeah, so I have my couple of pieces here, and then I have the main canvas. Basically, this is the main load page, right? The main loop. The way that, so there's a couple of ways of doing canvas stuff, and they actually have changed how they've done canvas over the last few years. There used to be some stuff that they said, here's how you do it, and they've kind of moved away from that method. Originally, it used to be they would do JavaScript has the set timeout function, which allows you to basically call something at a certain time frame. And so what you would do is at the end of the main loop is you would put a thing there that says, set timeout, whatever the time is that you want to do. Like, so you would do 16 for like if it was a 16 millisecond, that would give you 60 frames a second type of redraw. What they've done now is put this put functionality into here that does it with does it with request animation frame. I thought there was one
Oh,
at the bottom.
interesting. Okay.
right? So what you're doing is, in a sense here, this is asking the window in the browser to say, hey, the next animation frame, execute this function, right? So what this will actually do is time it so it'll get executed at the end of this, which is weird, but they recommend putting it at the top.
Okay.
And they also recommend you do this, you store the output from this, because this will tell it how to, if you need to cancel the animation from outside of this loop, that's how you would use it. So I created this global my game variable that has this, that stores that value.
Okay.
So if at some point we had some external portion of the application that needed to stop the loop, that's how we would be able to stop it. The other thing that's nice about it is that this frame that comes in, so when it calls this main, it actually brings in this variable here, which I think it's actually a it's one of their variable types for managing time. So instead of using like trying to use a date function to try to capture the time of stuff, what this will actually have is the length of time the window's been open in milliseconds.
Okay.
And so it automatically, this request animation frame automatically does that and puts it right in there.
And that's just a built-in in that window?
It's,
Okay, so
it's
you just get that.
as part of this request animation frame, that's what it does. Is that's
Okay.
that parameter that puts in there. So then what I'm doing here, I didn't actually have to store it on here. I was doing this because I was looking off of an example. But what we're actually doing is, you can see, you store like, so what's happening is it stores the last T frame and it subtracts the current progress from the new progress, and that's how you get your difference. So this way you'll have the difference per frame and the total progress per frame.
So what is that going to do for you then? So with having that difference, how is that helping you keep track of what to do next?
Diff and progress are both helping you keep track of doing next. One is the overall time, and one is the difference from the last time the frame was drawn. Right, so the last update will be X number of milliseconds difference.
So that's an X number of milliseconds ago, essentially, if you remember.
Correct, from the last one. Yeah, so if you can use that for doing, there's ways of using it for doing animations and stuff like that, so you can define how quickly you want stuff to change. Because you're going to say, we want this to change at a rate of, so many times per second, kind of a thing. And so this will allow us to be able to do that kind of function, that kind of calculations.
Right, by determining if it's been that long.
Correct.
We go ahead and do whatever that piece of functionality is.
Okay. Well, it's more about the fact of, if you, let's say you want to change, let's say you're going to move one item across the screen, maybe let's say 100 pixels, but you want it to move 2 pixels per second.
Right.
Well, so what that would mean is, like, every time the frame draws, is like, does it need to move it yet? It won't know. So what it can actually do is it can, it's going to basically create a nice stream across, like a movement, where it'll be nice and smooth across the entire thing, because it knows how fast it wants to move per second. And then this way we can use the diff to tell it how much to move each time.
Okay.
So it's just it's a smoothing function that allows you to do smoothing for animations.
Okay, so it doesn't skip across the screen then, is what
Correct.
you're trying to
You can
accomplish.
exactly. Whereas, you're sometimes you're gonna also need the progress, the total time, right? So I'm using that actually for my animations. And right now I noticed there's a couple of problems that I have with how I've implemented this, but at least it's working. And so the next part of this with the canvas is you have to do this piece here, and this then gets the screen, the context for it. I do wonder if I can actually bring this. Every example shows this in the main loop where it does it every time, versus doing it once at the top. I haven't experimented with moving this yet to see if I can put it up here.
Do you think it's something that changes? That's why they have it in the loop.
I think so, or it allows the browser to decide when it may want to dispose of it and regenerate it and stuff like that. Okay. So you may need to have it where you're doing it all the time. but I don't know. It seems
Right.
like
So
seems because of the context. It's more because of this 2D context, because the canvas allows you actually to get a 3D context, which will be a WebGL context, which then would allow you to do, you know, meshes and skins and all that kind of stuff. Where it's doing 3D type pipeline rendering.
okay. So
Yeah. So this is all. I mean, actually, this piece, this line and this line are these two lines are um, like kind of have to happen every time. And then this here is really what just clears the frame to get it ready for the next draw session, right? So you always have to re-render everything that you're putting up there. So as part of this loop, I did an update loop and a render loop, which is kind of like our update and draw that we were doing on the potato chip miner, right? Like if we were to look at those, I thought I had it. I'll bring that up as well. So in there, you'll be able to see that. So I created these functions here that basically do the same thing. Right now I just have it as sprites, which isn't really this is kind of like a lower level. I would actually want something above that controlling what sprites are shown in that loop. Yeah, and then, so in here all I'm doing is I'm just going through each of the sprites, calling the update, passing in this frame information, basically that diff in progress. And then in the render, I'm passing in the context for doing the rendering.
right. So those are the two functions being called just above there.
Correct. Yep. That's what these here are calling to these two.
Right.
And then this is really just the, this basically this whole piece here is the loop itself that continually runs and is updating to the application, the canvas. And then what I did is I came down here and I have images that I'm loading up, and then I'm taking those images and I'm creating a sprite out of them, and I'm adding them to that sprite list.
Okay.
So now the way I've done the sprite, it's not specifically it's specifically the animation, which those two concepts should actually be separated from each other, because sprites aren't really the animation. Usually you have, you give it what is going to be the sprite, and then it can use an animation or not, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of change some of this stuff around. I also didn't with the text, because I was kind of got stopped at one point, but I didn't do anything to allow you to select the font that's going into the text at the moment, or color or anything like that, or size.
Okay.
It's just basically I wanted to have some text and a position to give it, right? So this is an X and Y position on there. I'm going to go over the text one first because it's a little bit more straightforward. It's very simple for doing your rendering. You can just take, you don't even need to do either of these two calls. All you need to do is this fill text, and you tell it what the text is and the position that you want to put it.
Right.
What I've done is I've made it so that I can set the color and the size and the font. So in this case, what I did is this stencil font is one that I downloaded or I set up from Google's fonts.
Okay.
So I added that to the page, so we have a Google font on there that we can use.
Okay, so you drop that right on there, and then that's okay. So that's going to fill that text in using that font at that position.
Right. That's why if you come back over here, like you'll see, it's that stenciled font and it's in red.
Right. Cool. And then so you pass in the position when you call this function.
Correct. Yeah. So the idea was that I feel like what I need to do is I forget what the right concept is for it. It's funny. I wanted to open up Unity or one of those tools because they have a name for it, because there's because you have an image, which is fine, which is a resource, but then you also have an animation that takes an image and puts it on there.
And so there's terminology for that.
Yeah, there's terminology that already exists in the industry, and I figured it'd be good to get that concept right. and then I can make sure I put that stuff in there. But I thought it was pretty neat. Like, so I was able to find they had some free non-licensed animations that people have done, like that I took were some pixel stuff, and I created the animation strips for it, right? This is one that obviously I made, but I was just, I was just messing around.
It's cool though.
I was trying to make something where it was just like, you know, like that jittery animations. What was there was that old an older cartoon.
Oh yeah, it was like Dr. Katz.
Yes, Dr. Katz.
Had like that little.
So that's what that's what I had pictured in my head as I was doing it. I was gonna make it a little bit more jaggedy than I did, but it was just like that was what I had in my head when I was thinking about when I was doing it.
That's funny. It looks like when you're driving in a car, like Japanese animation, like the background just kind of goes.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing I was thinking about too. I wonder, is this actually showing on the stream? No. Well, no, I meant like I didn't know if the stream was picking up this.
Oh no, the window is. But
yeah, well, that's kind of what I was worried about. I was like, "Oh, did it actually?" Oh, that's right, because it's using the other page. That's fine. So it's actually picking up one of them, but it's picking up the other page. So if you were actually to still type in there, it actually would still pop up and everything.
So, like, if you want to take that Pete's House of Code and stick it like on the page somewhere, like, what would you do? Like, how would you
stick on which page?
I don't know. I guess onto the stream.
Okay, well, so for the stream, this canvas. So the idea of what I did is I took this canvas, and the canvas is the full size for the stream.
Okay. So
right?
That's the whole screen.
Yes. Imagine everything inside of here is the entire screen, right? And so right now, it's basically this is just static on there because of the way that I'm adding the stuff to the page. But for us to, we'd have to put some stuff in here to actually make it react to something coming in. But even having the ability to put these things on there was important for it.
Right.
So like what this sprite actually has as part of it, let's see if it comes up here. So this frame sheet is basically the image sheet. Then I tell it what the width and height of each frame is. That's why it's F width and F height. And then how many frames are in that sheet. And then how many frames per second I want that sprite to animate at.
Okay, so you can even adjust how fast it actually flips through the frames.
Ah, absolutely. Yeah, so like example, like let's say for like the adventure, I think its default was something like 12 or whatever, right? And so if we go back to this page here, I have to bring this up here, and then so now you'll see that it's moving much faster.
Oh yeah.
Right. Actually, what I should be able to do. I haven't tried doing this. What if I think I can do this. I could do a second one. And I can put it next to it, right? We'll do it at 4 frames a second.
Yeah, that'll illustrate the difference, huh?
Yeah, and there's 74 apart from each other, so I can put it right next to it. So I'll put this at 280. I haven't done this yet, so this may break. Did it? Oh, I did it Y, not X.
Oh, you get the effect though.
Right, because you can see this one's moving faster and this one's moving real slow. Which I thought was pretty. I think it's cool like that. So now that we've loaded the image once, now we have the image sheet sitting there, and we can do different things with it. We could actually give it different animations, so we could still use the same sheet and do different things with it. So that's what I'm trying to work on. I was trying to figure out how to get all that in there. But so that was part of what my goal was trying to get this to happen. And I wanted to do the same thing with the font. But what I wanted to do is make the font actually end up being what could be a source for a sprite. Even. Do you know what I mean? So like the text should be able to be a source for a sprite, I think. And then that way you can draw the sprite around the screen however you want to. You could even animate the text. Like if you wanted to have it marquee across the screen, or if you wanted to have it like fade in or fade out. Like, because one of those things that we're going to have to, that I want to add to it is obviously those transitions,
Hmm.
so we can provide an animation to the overall, uh, thing that we're bringing on. Because for us, the way that this should work in most cases is going to be, you're going to type something, boom, we want something to happen.
Hmm.
I wonder if we could actually test that out right now. Check this out, right? So we already have this on here, so that's okay. But I think what we could even do, is I just need to add in how we did the receiver portion, right? So we got this
Okay.
receiver stuff in here. We could actually add this to the other. What if we add it to the other stuff here?
So it will also be listening?
Yeah.
How would that? Okay.
Well, no, it's not. It doesn't always. So everything will listen. Oh, I didn't mean
Right.
to cut it. um, but what would be cool is I can do. I'll put this up here, but instead of maybe we'll try.
So you're putting that right on the canvas file.
I'm putting it right in the because that's the main file, right?
Okay.
So that's the main file for this page. So this
Okay.
that receiver one is the one that's actually being used on um, the other page, which was just the index on, right? So we have index under stream and canvas under stream. So I was doing one that was going to be a stream version, or the canvas version.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they're two separate pages. They have their own main in a sense, right? So I have two different mains for them.
Okay.
So that's why we can add it to this one, and they shouldn't bugger each other up. But so what we can do, we might even still be able to leave that in there. I don't know if we want to do a high peak. We could actually. So what we should be able to do is, I guess, trying to figure out what the right way to do it is. I guess we could just do one where it's kind of off on its own, right? You could even do it with the text, maybe. The problem is that we're only going to have so many spots that we can put the the text, so we don't have any way of like getting rid of it at the moment. But we might be able to.
We should be able to flush it out of there, though.
Yeah, I think so. Do you remember does push give you back what its index is? No,
I don't
right?
think it does, but if you're just going to push it on, length should do it, shouldn't it? Just pushing it on the end, right?
Yes. So, good point. So we should be able to get that right. So we can, so if I do let index, because here's what I'm thinking we can do, right? We can now do. I hope this works. This might be a problem if we had so we can only do one thing at a time, really, at the moment with the way this is, right? Because we can catch the length. And then we could do a set timeout, and then do something like see, sprites. What's the JavaScript?
Pop, want to get it out? Or you want because pop will take it off the end, shift takes it off the front, I think.
Yeah, I think the other one, isn't it splice?
Splice lets you take it out by index.
Right, lets you take it out in the middle. But that's kind of what I was trying to do.
Pop and shift, I think, is JavaScript.
All right, well, let's just do pop, I guess.
Check.
And then we could say we want this to happen after, say, 2 seconds. Now, so we're not even using this actually because we're just doing a push and a pop. But if the problem here is that if we push two things on, it would pop off weird, right? So it doesn't control specifically the item that's going in there. So we have to figure out how to manage that case better. Let's see if that will actually. Oh, I'm getting some kind of error here. Oh, SignalR isn't referenced. That is a very good point. I did not bring in SignalR. Here's where it was. We gotta put that on this page here. Alright, let's try it again. Hey, alright, so everything's working at least. Try doing a bang high peat, right? That's what we would need for this one. Oh, I don't know if we're gonna be able to tell if it happened because I copied and pasted it directly on there. I don't think I changed the position. No, I did. Oh no, I did. Change the position. Sure, I'll do. Maybe that was too far down the page. Maybe do. Oh no, it was the same spot. It was the exact same spot. I didn't change it. So let's see. We'll do. Maybe we'll do like 800 by 500.
I was slacking. Sorry.
Oh.
Slacking on the stream and slacking in general.
I need you here. All right. You can't do it this time. You have to type something else first.
So you need to type something else.
Yeah. It seems like it should have worked, but it did not happen. Why would that be? So
Do you have it set up in the stream, like to actually show the well, it didn't happen though, did it? You would have seen it happen.
Yeah, because I mean, it should have popped up on here. It's not about. It wasn't that. It was necessarily going to show up on the inside the Streamlabs, you know, in the OBS, but it should have popped up on the screen here at least.
Yeah. Right, like on your browser there.
Yeah. Huh. It's almost like the SignalR didn't connect to it. Because
is it not firing the? It's not, huh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, did it? Any of these coming through? How are we not getting into? It's like the connection isn't succeeding.
Yeah, SignalR is not listening.
Yeah.
What's that?
Did let me see if did it break? No, it's getting stuff in. This sees it here. Maybe I should just try. Let's just do a quick break on here to make sure that it's even. Make sure it's even processing it, just to make sure. All right, let's try doing a command.
Oh, hit it.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness.
already? Made it that far.
Yeah, so it should be going out. So it's almost like the page isn't connecting to it. But why would that happen? I'm not getting. We're not getting a console error. And that seems okay. Let's try. Let me just try adding to our piece here. Let me. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. I don't know. I'm wondering if this is getting upset because this doesn't actually do anything. Let's do. So we can see it when it does come through. But maybe we can just get that going. All right, so that's all saved. Everything saved. Let's make sure it's gonna actually work okay. All right. Let me see if we just go to this one. Oh, wait a minute. How come this got a WebSocket? Did I do something wrong? Oh shoot, I did.
Well, we knew that, right? It wasn't working.
Yeah, you
We
know what
did
it was?
something wrong.
I forgot that there was a start call on it as part of the.
Oh, so like you just never fired it?
Yeah, so I never actually.
Oh.
It's like I did the configuration for it, but then I didn't actually start it. Right, so actually this might be good to put right in here. All right, that's fine.
All right.
I'm not even sure why that's all there. All right, so that's all to say. So now maybe let's try going back. All right, give her a try again. Oh, finally! Now we're getting.
Hit it in a JavaScript. Nice.
All right.
Oh, there it goes.
So now we got a high peak. Oh, I think that was in the wrong spot. All right, good. So let me try. Let's try one more thing then, right? So, because I took out the thing to remove it, so there's nothing actually removing it at any point. So at the moment we don't have it removing. Let's change this. Let's change it to 5 seconds, and this should be like that.
Couldn't you just ID the stuff when you pushed it on to the? Well, cover that. Like to be able to find it again and pop it off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like we have to do more to it to get it to that point to be able to take it off. Honestly, we should be able to put something into the stack of like, hey, we want it to do this thing for a while, and then kick it out, right?
Right.
And so it'll automatically remove itself from this list of like stuff to actually have happen because it will no longer be part of the engine or no longer part of the loop.
Right.
Ultimately.
Okay.
But let's try reloading this. All right. Let's see. I guess I can do it now. Boom. So we got high Pete up there.
Yeah.
And it's gone. Yes. Oh, it still didn't like to play audio. What didn't it like about that? Oh, we have a file for that, I think.
There's a
Oh, wrong.
just a regular audio file sitting somewhere.
Well, no, the file was fine. I think what we did though is in the receiver, there's actually
Oh,
a play audio function here that we created that didn't
okay.
exist as
Remember
part of
that
it.
thing?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add it into here so it's still part of that. But
That's what we were working on the highlight video on Dakota on the beach. We were sitting at the bar working. I was trying to get that audio to play on the stream.
oh yeah, how that's so crazy how much stuff we were part of that there.
Yeah, I remember when he was shooting that too. I noticed him, and he like kind of like just me. He's like, "No, don't look, don't look."
I,
He's like, "All right, all right, all right. I'm very
yeah,
involved in what I'm doing. Yes, I don't see
yeah. Candid picture.
you."
So here we go. We're gonna do it again. Boom, we got high peak.
Hello to you too, John.
That is awesome. And then it goes away. So we don't have any nice intro and outro animations, but we at least have it going in there and gets into the stack and gets animated or gets displayed, gets rendered, and then disappears.
So what we should do is like shoot it across the top. Just change the X position, animate it across the.
Well, but we don't have any way of doing any kind of animation because it's just the text.
Right.
Just at the moment. What's that?
Oh, because that's what you're saying about you wanted to feed it into the sprite there.
Yeah, so there's a thing that we have to be able to in the sprite itself it's a block, right? So the sprite itself is just here's where that sprite is. There's no actual animation about how to move it around the screen yet, right? All I've done is made it so that we can put the thing in there and the animation, the sprite animation or the image animation is there, but not the movement around the screen. Like, so we don't have anything to like tell it to move forward or backwards or change position or kind of build in some kind of animation into it that we want it to follow.
That's what we're here to do, though, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the point. But that's where I stopped. I guess is what I was getting at. Is that's where. How did this work before? What was that? Yell. And it was just the arcs. Okay, it's just the arcs itself. So we could have this arc. Do this at like 400.
Now, can you move that? Can you use those X and Y coordinates basically to move it, or is that just you have to set it and once you get in there, that's the end of it?
At the moment, the way that this works, it just puts it in that one spot. I don't have anything to change its position. That's kind of what I was getting at. Like, honestly, even the text, it shouldn't have a position, is my initial reaction. Because to me, text itself is the result. The location would be the sprite that contains the text. That's kind of why I feel like the text should be what you can pass into the into that piece, right? So it'll have its draw, its own draw function, and then it would then draw it.
So you would address it like any other sprite, just pass it some text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you would pass it a text object, right? So the sprite, instead of like when we new up the sprite, we're giving it an image. But what would be nice is that all this stuff that's information about this image should actually be something else. You know what I mean? Like, so I think what I need to have is actually have something that's like a image is not the right term. I need to have something, a concept that is above image, right? So that it could contain a static picture, it could contain an animated picture, it could contain
screen
text.
element kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's even less than that, right? Because it's not on the screen. It's just it's like a resource.
Oh,
like
like
a
a potential, like the
yeah,
palette.
and then you can use it somewhere, right? So you would create this adventure idle image or this adventure idle resource that could then be used by different sprites potentially. Kind of the way I'm even doing this, right? I'm kind of using that image the same way, but I still had to pass in and tell it, here's what the frame size was for this adventure image, and here's how many frames there are. And like to me, that should be something else.
So you want like a wrapper?
Yeah, but I want it to be something that I can change what's inside of it, right?
All right. Well,
I don't know what that is.
what would that look like? Yeah, we'll start coding something up maybe.
I want to try this out though. I want to try this.
Okay.
Let's try. Ooh. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so now we should be able to do bang. Ah,
Ah. Okay.
so what would be interesting right now is you try. You put in like a high Pete or something like that, and then I'm gonna do a yell.
Okay. I'm gonna do mine now.
So, but when yours goes away, mine will actually go away, and then yours will go away because mine got onto the stack afterwards, right? Because yours pushed on first, and mine pushed on next, but your pop happened first, so it took away mine, and then put the other one on top of it.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Okay. So first one in, first one out.
Yeah. So that's kind of why that pop, the push and pop, wasn't going to work specifically for this overall because we're not pulling out the exact item. But it doesn't matter too much. It was just more interesting to see how to try to get this to happen. And I'd like to see that it's working. I got these on there. So if we were to take a look at how I'm doing this sprite, right? So this sprite has this information here about it.
Okay.
I'm trying to debate on what should be really in the frame. You know what I almost want to bring up? I wish I could think of what it's called. I want to call it image resource for the moment. I don't think that that's right either, but actually, I'm not even sure how to do inheritance in. Let's do. Right, I haven't done enough base JavaScript for it.
Yeah, how do you do inheritance? Do you have to like prototype it?
I'm wondering if Sprite is okay.
Well, what is your problem with what's in there? So it has some information in there.
Yes, well, it has pretty much all of the information. That's not quite what I was looking for. All right. So there's the concept of the image. And there's a concept of an animated image. And then there's the sprite. Then there's the entity, which is what I think is the wrapper that would actually be around that, right? Because the entity would be able to switch which sprite it's using. So maybe sprite is okay for this. I think what I need to do is change. What I need to do is I need to have text be able to have a. I'm not sure. I'm not happy with. I'm trying to figure out how to make this sprite so we can then do an animation with it, right? So I think
Okay, well,
that's where the entity comes into play.
what is it that's blocking you from being able to achieve that?
There's nothing to control the animation for the sprite, like the movement of it, right?
Okay. So there's no like handle to get a hold of.
Right. So that's kind of where I was like trying to. Let me see. So, because like in here, the way that we have this set up. So I guess I would want to have something that's more of the. Let's try doing it as an entity. Right, and so the constructor would take a sprite.
Okay.
Um,
So would this have like movement functions on it then, so that you could sort of move from one point to another and account for some sort of like a velocity setting? Is that what you're looking for?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't have
Okay.
to. It's not necessarily a velocity, right? But it could be. Um, like I don't know. That's what I'm trying to. This is the problem with not having done actual game development before, or not enough of it, right? I can't remember, and it's changed since I did it when I was a kid. So, like, this is much cleaner. Um, and so what I'm thinking.
So when a sprite's on the screen, it's going to get run through that loop every time with its update and its render.
Right, and so the update would change it, right? So this would be where we could add um, a velocity.
Right. So that's going to need a direction.
Yeah, and we actually need to have a vector
Yeah.
type that's available because we're going to want to be able to have like x and y, right? Because that'll actually give us a direction for something. Um, and then constructor, and we'll take an x and y.
Yeah. So is the velocity really a time in this? Like, is velocity true? It's not really. Like, what the speed in this is how many ticks, right? Like how often you're actually going to run the update.
No, this would be how fast you want to move it in an XY position.
Okay.
So it'll basically only move.
That many like clicks.
Well, it'll move that far per second, right? So let me just. Here, I'll show you
So
an
a
example.
velocity of one, it would move it in that. Okay. All right.
In that position, right? So that's kind of the idea is that this. I think what we actually want to be able to do is. So this has its update and render frames. Yeah, I guess this would still be happening. So then we would still have to have a thing here that's going to basically do the sprite.update and pass in the frame. And then this would still have the render. But then I can also do here, I can take. This is where that difference comes into play, right? So, let me see, can I get the sprite? Is X even available on it? Let me see. I think that will actually give it to me. What I want to do is I gotta do this dot sprite dot set position, and then I add the velocity times times the frame diff. That's not completely right, but it's something along those lines. That plus this dot velocity y times right. So it's something along these lines.
Okay, but
why doesn't it like that?
It seems like everything's always going to move up and to the right this way.
Not unless you make the x and y on the other one a negative.
Right. Okay.
That's how. So the idea of the this x and y is really telling you how fast it's moving in either direction, in either x or the y position. So either the x and the y direction.
Okay, so you're going to use the vector to figure that out before it ever gets in there? Is that what the deal is?
For it.
Like, because I don't understand how you're going to determine whether it's going to get a negative or how much x or y you want to.
Well, you're passing it in, right? So when you create the entity, you're telling it what this is. Right, so what we'll have is in here, as an example, we would have something that's going to be a let's see. So let me do call it U1. So we'll do a new entity, right? And it'll take let's do adventure sprite 1, the first one, and then give it a new velocity. And we're actually going to have, because in this world the x of 0 is in the top left, so its top left is x 0 0. So it means actually positive numbers is going to be down and to the right.
Oh, that's true.
Right, so positive numbers in x direction is going to be down, and positive numbers in y is going to be to the right. So in this case, we actually want, let's take the x a minus 1, and we'll make the y a positive 0.5. Right?
Okay.
And then...
So that's going to make it go up slightly.
Right.
More. And then out slightly.
Yeah. So I can actually just push that on there, because we're not using a typed language, so you can...
Yeah. Just have it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Friday afternoon.
Let's see if that reloads okay. Nope. Oh, no, velocity.
It's not defined. Let's see, what?
It should be defined. We did add, oh, I didn't save that file. Again, not defined? Oh,
Oh, that's called vector.
yeah. I called it. Yeah.
There you
All
go.
right. So it didn't work.
Oh, yeah, it loaded.
Yeah. So if we look in Sprite, so this should.
It hit it.
Oh, that's why. All right. So at least I know why. So here's the problem. This diff is 33 milliseconds. So basically what it did is it took 33 and multiplied it by x. So x was -1, so that made it -33. And so, oh, it's because the xy position didn't actually even exist.
Oh, what's up with that? Did you not set it? It should be set though, right?
So here's where the problem comes in with that, right? I thought this was how I could make this a property, right? Let me see. Maybe I can put a breakpoint on there again. Not a number, huh? Let me try reloading the whole thing. So those are all numbers. Oh, diff is coming in as not a number.
What's up with that?
Well, that would explain why we ended up in a whole different issue. All right, let me see here.
Yeah, so what's happening in the diff?
Yeah, so that's in the main loop here. That's not, the diff isn't getting. I don't need this.
Keyframe minus my game progress.
I know for a fact that this was working because I had the diff actually getting put out to the console so that I could make sure it was right. So let me try doing that. So it's there, okay.
So what happens?
I don't know.
Is maybe what you think is in that my game not there when it was setting it after you get out of here?
Oh, but see, now it's okay. Hold on a second. Maybe there's a problem where the initial value of progress is wrong. Oh, shoot, it is. That's why. So this needs to be set. So what was happening is the very first frame
Is it? Okay.
was not working, right? So then the value was wrong after all of it, right?
And then it couldn't do any of that math. So
Yeah.
it was just over.
Yeah, so then now it was all NAND and then everything failed after that. But it's still going to move really fast. Yeah, so now we're getting these in. Okay, so that's good. Oh, take that one out. Yeah, we did not see anything happen.
No.
I think it's what it really comes down to is that this is way too fast. Like doing it this way. So what I need to do is actually I need to take this value, and I need to. So what it's really saying is that I want to move the X position, let's say 1 per second. Like we want to move it that value per second.
Right.
So
So there's a time component to this.
yeah. So what I need to do is actually I need to take this diff, and I think do it like this, right?
Okay.
Is that right? Diff.
So that's going to move it a tiny little bit.
The other way. The other way.
Diff divided by 1,000.
Yeah.
And we're going to move it once again a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
Because that'll give you your second. So in a so that'll pop every millisecond. So in 1,000 of them, that'll be 1 second, and that should be your full distance. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. So it should. And I got 2 of them. So at least I got 2.
They're not moving.
I feel like that calculation I should probably add into the frame.
1,000.
Well, that calculation, instead of having, because I have a feeling this is probably going to end up in a bunch of places. The idea is trying to figure out, like, you know, with this. So I did expect this to actually do something. Oh, it's moved.
Yeah, it's just a little.
It's moving. It's really slow.
Oh yeah. My god, it's so slow. I can see it's moving just a little bit.
It's going just a little tiny bit. Just a little tiny bit.
Divided by like 300 then. Or something, or move it a little farther.
Well, I wanted it to move that per second. Well, let me see what that calculation looks like it's coming out with, because I'm so good at math. Right, so what is... So it's 24. This is -1. And this... So I think what I did wrong is what I wanted to do is make it so it moves -1 per second. And so what I need to do is actually divide that 1. Maybe this is actually supposed to be a division, like divided by. So I need to take the -1 and divide it by that 0.03. Is that right? Because this... What if I just bring up the calculator here? We do 1 divided by 0.03.
Where's 0.03 coming from?
That's the frame diff. Right, so this here is actually, it's coming out as 0.03, but that's not good, because I wanted it to move 1 pixel per second, which, if that's the case, then what would this... -0.03. No, that seems right. Unless these pixels are just much smaller than I'm... It jumped off the screen. Because the diff was great. And so it made it pop off. Like, because we waited so long between frames, it continued to move, even though the frame
right.
wasn't being drawn, right? Because what we did is we said we want to know what those differences are between frames and make sure it moves in a consistent manner with the frame. But I think it's working right. I believe I just didn't give it a big enough number.
Right, like a
Because
pixel's pretty small every second.
yeah, I think that's what it turned out. What it's meaning, right? So let's say if we did it as we want it to go. Oh, and I did the math wrong.
Or you could do it more often.
I
Is the
said
other
no.
thing, right?
X. I'm getting. I think I'm getting some of these values flipped.
Well, do you know that it only runs the update every millisecond? Because I feel like this whole thing is predicated on you assuming that it's going to run every millisecond.
I don't
Like, did
know.
we
No, you
cap
don't.
that?
No, you don't understand. What's happening is we're actually calculating what the difference is between each frame, right?
Okay.
And that diff is what is telling us what the difference is between each frame.
Okay.
It's not 1 millisecond. What it is that it's, in that case, it was 33 milliseconds. But that's probably because of the fact that we're running it with the debugger attached.
Right.
But if we run it without the debugger attached, it's closer to 16 milliseconds per frame. So what's happening is that diff is actually letting it tell it how to draw it, so it moves at the appropriate amount. What the problem is that 1 pixel per second is a long time, right? And so what we really probably want is something that's going to be closer to, let's say,
You could almost do 10 times as much.
like make
honestly.
this minus. Yeah, we want to move it like 10 pixels a second up, and we want to move it to the right. So I had these backwards in my thought process, right? Because XY is left and right, and Y is up and down, and I had it wrong, right? So I want to move it to the right, and I want to move it up the screen. So we'll do a 5. We'll do it like that. So now we should actually get. Yeah, so that's moving better. It's not great. That speed is really, really slow, but at least it's doing it based kind of what we're trying to get it to do. And I think it's moving the right amount.
There it goes. Yeah, it is going.
So I think it is moving the right amount as we're. Now the problem is it's just going to keep going until it goes off the screen. Bye bye. Oh, how do I have a border around here? Oh, does the whole canvas have a... I might have to fix it. The canvas might be just pushing off of the screen. I wonder if it's because the body has a thing. So instead of clearing, let me just so we can just do ctx.fill. I think that will do it. Yeah, shoot. See, I got a border.
Yeah, there's a little something around the edge.
Yeah. All right, good. There we go. I was like, why am I seeing a little white edge there? All right, good. So I got that fixed. But this is pretty cool.
It was working out, so we have a grasp on how to make that happen.
Yeah, you got real low all of a sudden. Did you move away from the mic or?
Like a little bit. Am I better now?
No.
That's odd.
I'm not sure if like you.
What was that?
It's still low.
Huh.
I don't.
That's,
I don't know. That sounded loud. Maybe did the mic? What was that you just did?
Shift the mic.
Oh, so talk a little bit now, 'cause I think it sounds better.
Hello, hello.
Nope, that's still too low. I don't know what's going on. Like I can see your lips moving now, and I didn't hear anything.
And now you don't hear anything?
Well, now I'm here. I'm still. So this time I heard something. I just saw you move your lips, and nothing came out. Like I didn't hear anything.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what's up with that. I wonder if because I was getting work Skyped, if somehow that was hijacking the system.
That sounded better when you like looked right at it.
Really? Like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would make sense, closer. Is it maybe I need to have it sideways?
I, I don't know. You just gotta remember, like, there's the way those. You see how the microphone has a flat side to it? The flat side is what you want to be kind of be talking into.
Right. That's how we had it.
Yeah, but I feel like it moved or something.
Yeah. I just wonder if it's wires. How's that?
That's sounding pretty good.
Okay. Let's try with that.
Yeah, that sounds better. I don't know.
Yeah, I tilted it like all the way down so it's more sideways to me. I don't know either. I got the
Yeah.
little foamy guy off.
Yeah. So. Oh. Yeah. I mean, that's really about like spit guard
Yeah, it's
and
like
like.
hisses and pops when you talk and stuff.
Yeah.
And really, this guy should take care of most of that.
Mm-hmm. This is looking good. I just like the
Eh.
fact that it's moving at least.
So we should just make him bounce around the stream while we code. What do you say?
We could. I'm just gonna have this guy that's just, hey, I'm just bouncing around.
Yeah, right. Well, like if the Y goes negative, just have him start going the other direction.
Yeah, we'd have to. We could. There's a way to create that, so we can just do it. We'll just put that in here for right now as is. But
Hmm.
we should add it as a component that we can add it to it. We can call it a bouncing component, and it'll automatically like bounce it around.
Right, like stay in this canvas.
Yeah. The only thing I'm gonna have to do is gonna have to get max. Let's do a width and a height. Uh,
Is that for so you can see the edge?
yeah, because we're not gonna have. I don't have access to the actual canvas from here, so this will allow us to get that. So then we can. So now I want to. So what I need to do is make the change.
Yeah.
Let me see. New x equals. Actually, we could probably just do it. Because is it going to be that we're going to change the velocity, maybe? Like flip the velocities? I think
Like
it's what.
like yeah, like change the sign.
Hmm. So I think if we did, like let's do x position, right? So if the sprite x position is greater than,
Max.
so x would be the width,
That's the width. Yeah.
right? It's greater than the width, then, um,
How do you get the sign? Just times -1.
yeah. So then we would take,
Okay. So that'll just flip the sign.
yeah. And then we say if, position.
Right.
I guess we could do this where we can say we do either of these, right? So we could say or.
I don't know that you can. Right. Okay, I see
Well,
what you're saying.
actually, what the situation is going to be is it's going to hit that. Well, do we want it to come in where it's going to come down at an angle and it's going to hit it? Should return. That
It'll
should do
bounce
it.
directly back.
But I think that's okay.
But the other axes should maintain its
Right.
progression until you hit something.
Right.
Until it hits.
So that's what we're doing, right? So we've got that. So I think this will work, right? So we can do this.
Yeah, and you got to do Y separate.
Yeah, we do Y separate.
Right, so you can do both edges, but you have to do the directions separate. Okay. This is going to be cool. Oh, it's 5:25. I don't know if you have plans or anything.
Well, fortunately today is it's just Christine and I, and she's actually running late because her client is going a little crazy. Hello, Fine Cut.
Ooh. Hello, Fine Cut.
So we're gonna try that. So this now should bounce her around the screen. If we do, yeah, we should probably change the speed of that though. So I think I want to make that a little bit faster because otherwise we're never gonna see it hit the screen.
Yeah, it was still pretty slow.
Yeah, so let's do 30 and negative. I want it to be a different number. So, all right, let's try that. Oh my gosh, it's still slow.
It's still going to be slow.
How do we? Oh, I don't.
Get cracking.
I don't.
Well, he's almost there. Might as well let him go now. Oh, he bounced. Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. Do that again. I'm trying to figure out if it bounced. One of the things I didn't check for certain is where it draws the image from the point, right? So in this case, it must be drawing like down and to the right? So the pixel for that defines where it's going to draw is here, right?
Okay.
So that's why that one worked. What we should actually end up seeing happen when it gets down to the bottom is
you're going to push into it.
It should see it disappear and then come out of it.
Wow, how big is it? Oh my god.
No, we're not using the Visual Studio Live Share feature. We should have. That would be kind of interesting. We could actually do this on a live share.
Yeah, I'm just riding along is the way it's working. He's driving because I can't type and talk anyway. So
I can barely type and talk at the same time. So that's
you do great.
Yeah, see, it disappeared.
Right, he pushed out. Now he should come out.
Uh-oh.
Did we just lose him?
I don't know.
He's just going.
Uh-oh. Bye-bye, adventure. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, Fine Cut, about the release of that because they had beta out for a little while.
Might be two. It might be two because they had there was a preview out for a long time.
Yeah, we enjoyed using that for quite some time, but it was pretty buggy early on.
Yeah, it was pretty. It stabilized a little bit, and it's still a little weird, trying to find somebody. Remember, we were trying to do find somebody through their Windows account and all. It was a little wonky. But,
yeah, that was definitely a problem.
But it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't like something here. We're gonna have to take a look here and see. Oop. Let me try that one more time. Step through there. You
should make those numbers really big so it moves around fast.
Oh, we forgot to define the canvas up.
Oh.
So because of the way that we're doing this and trying to get this working, we ran into a small issue. Let me take off the debugger. I was wondering why is this not letting me. Continue. Yeah, Yeah, so what ended up happening is I didn't in here. I needed to pass in the width and the height.
Yeah, because we don't have access to the actual canvas here, so
Right.
you set it and then pass it.
Yeah, what I would like to do is change it where it becomes a bounce component, and then we can just pass in it. We can add it to the components that it uses, and we can tell the component where the canvas is.
Well, that's cool. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, I don't mind lurking. I do a bunch of it myself when I'm watching stuff. Oh, I want to make this higher so we can actually see something happen. This calculation isn't working the way that I expected it to.
Yeah, I bet you can take that to like 300 and 100 even.
Well, that'll move it really fast.
What's that happening now?
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there it goes.
That's because let's close this so we can see the whole screen.
All right.
Yes, hopefully he
should bounce off.
Yeah,
yep,
he disappeared and comes up.
Yeah.
He's going to disappear again when he hits the bottom and then comes back up.
So our right and bottom are going to have to adjust out a little bit.
Well, I think what we need to do is we actually need to give him a bounding box, and then that will allow us to do it. So we have to add the bounding box to really make that possible. But that would give us some of that other kind of functionality. We can make the items on the screen itself interact with other items on the screen if we want to.
Right, because we know with that.
Yeah.
Have that box.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
It's because I scrolled. Yeah, so. Yeah, we got that working now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could give him you could probably give him a patrol too, right? That would be a cool feature. Like so that walked around the perimeter.
You could. I mean, the idea is that we'd have to give it some pathing, and we could have it do it that way. But we can add that. I mean, one of the things I would like to do, I think, probably maybe next Friday when we get together, is do some kind of animation in and animation out, so we can actually do stuff where we react to messages from the signal R, so we can pop it in there.
Yeah.
Because I think that would make this give us something more to do on here, and it actually gives us a way of setting up those animations that we want to say. Here's how these animations can be cobbled together to actually perform something. So,
all right,
I'll do a little bit more research on that.
That's awesome, then. So hopefully, next Friday we'll have something to get rocking on.
Yeah, I think it's.
So this was cool, though. Go.
At least we got the canvas up and working. We got stuff happening on there, so I think that was pretty good.
Yeah. So the idea of this will be happening actually on the stream at some point here.
Yeah, at some point. When we get to that point, trying to recreate Streamlabs. That's what we're doing.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Code is like the code, you know. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. So, well, I think I gotta get running, Pete. So it was.
All right, John.
It's a good time.
So tomorrow morning for some Scratch, some beginner stuff.
Tomorrow morning we will be doing some Scratch stuff. That sounds great.
All right. I'll see you bright and early.
All right. See you, everyone. Thanks.
Good one.
Bye. If I can figure out how to get the right scene.
Goodbye.